From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
I'm Sean Chitnis, live in San Francisco, where this morning we are learning that Anchor Brewing Company is closing after more than 100 years in the city. We'll have details coming up.
And Sean, spinning out of control. Now a crackdown is coming. Alameda County approves tougher punishments for sideshow spectators, but not everyone agrees with the approach.
Plus, President Biden meets with President Zelensky one day after Ukraine's leader blasted NATO's new entry requirements. What's at stake in the face-to-face?
And heading into this weekend's forecast, looking ahead, we're already under an excessive heat watch as a high-pressure system moves its way in. We're going to heat up into the triple digits. Once again, we're going to have more on that coming up.
And if you're hitting the roadways early this morning, we are already tracking brake lights at the Bay Bridge, plus a new crash along 880, one on 280 as well. Details coming up.
But first, we're taking a live look outside on this Wednesday morning. It's a typical July pattern today, but we're still paying close attention to what's in store for the weekend. Here's a shot from our rooftop camera, looking at those foggy skies that everyone's waking up to this morning. Jessica, how's it going to feel outside today?
Oh, it's still nice and cool right now, Amanda, throughout the Bay Area. But this is a live look above those foggy conditions. This is from our Black Mountain cam overlooking the Santa Clara Valley, or at least the clouds covering the Santa Clara Valley. We are off to a beautiful sunrise this morning and daytime highs today. Once that marine layer breaks apart, we're going to be left with the 90s off in our inland areas with 60s from the coast all the way into the bay. So we're going to see sunnier conditions even along our coastal areas this afternoon. I'll show you that coming up in a bit. But we have to talk a little bit ahead because planning for this weekend, we have big changes in the forecast for us. First alert weather dates already issued for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as this huge heat dome begins to build over not only us, but pretty much the whole Southwest. This is going to hit us into the triple digits, calling for an excessive heat watch right now throughout our inland areas, ranging from Santa Rosa off into the East Bay, even down into the Santa Clara Valley, all due to the system. I'm going to step off screen so you can watch this temperature anomaly map. Once we head all the way into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, watch how the whole Southwest, even up into the Pacific Northwest, we're all experiencing that heat dome together. This is going to be a warm one for us, not only here in the Bay Area, but all throughout California. We're going to keep you updated on this heat wave, and we'll talk more about how it's going to impact your local area and how you can prepare. But for now, I'm going to send it over to you, Gianna.
All right, thank you, Jess. Well, this just into the traffic center. I am getting word from CHP of a new crash along southbound 280 right at that 92 connector. And unfortunately, also getting word that this is a deadly accident. Unfortunately, one person did die in this crash. So there is a lot of activity there on scene. No word as to what lanes are blocked. We are just getting this information in. As far as the impact to the roadways right now, it's moving along at an okay pace overall. That's because traffic is pretty lightly traveled through that area, at least for now. Once it gets a little closer to 7, that could likely change, and there is no word as to how long those lanes will be blocked because of the investigation now that this has been confirmed a deadly crash. So if you are taking South 280 for your morning commute, if you're headed towards 92, give yourself some extra time. They have not officially issued a traffic alert. Traffic is still moving at an okay pace through there, but we'll let you know when that changes. Amanda.
Well, this morning it's official. Anchor Brewing Company, the historic craft brewery on San Francisco's Potrero Hill, will close, and the company says it can no longer operate in the current economic environment. We're seeing this a lot across the Bay Area, unfortunately. Sean Chitnis live right now outside the brewery with early reaction to this news. A lot of disappointment here, Sean.
Well, Amanda, just the rumors last night had people sad about the possibility that Anchor Brewing Company could close. Now we know it is official. There was an announcement made early this morning and notice given to employees about 60 days before their positions could be ending. So here are some of the details that we are learning from the company in that announcement, trying to explain why they are doing this after so long in San Francisco. They are pointing to both the pandemic as well as inflation and saying just being a business in San Francisco dealing with those two issues forced them to have to stop their operations. Now, people who live in the city were shocked to learn about the possibility again that the company could be closing before that announcement.
Wanted to cry. It's such an institution. This city needs to keep this alive. So many other things are dying here. Somebody needs to come in and save it.
So Anchor Brewing dates back to 1896, surviving the 1906 earthquake, prohibition, and previous threats of bankruptcy. But in recent years, the company had to limit sales to California and cut production of its Christmas ale. They have stopped brewing now and will continue distributing the beer that they have left through the end of the month, but they could run out of that before. The same process is going to go for their brew pub that is located here in the city. And the company also explained in that announcement that there were repeated attempts to try and find a buyer for the company, but they were unable to strike a deal. So now we are just waiting for employees to arrive here, where we understand that an all-hands meeting is scheduled for later today. Amanda, back to you.
It's going to be a tough meeting for a lot of people today. All right, Sean, tough news. Thanks so much.
Developing this morning, harsher penalties are coming to sideshow spectators in Alameda County. The Board of Supervisors voted last night to fine or even jail people who watched the dangerous stunts. Take a look. Yeah, this video is from a sideshow last month. The ordinance supervisors approved makes it illegal to be within 200 feet of a sideshow. Violators could face a misdemeanor charge and be fined up to $1,000 or even face up to 6 months behind bars. Under the new law, proving a violation must include evidence of prior acts of being present or attending a sideshow event in the last 3 years. This new law is in response to the growing number of sideshows we've watched in Alameda County. The ordinance was passed by a 3-1 vote. Some supervisors demanded drivers should be the target, not spectators. In fact, Alameda County Public Defender Brendan Woods questioned if the ordinance is even constitutional. He's also concerned about people of color being swept up by law enforcement just because they're Black or Hispanic. In San Francisco, keep in mind, cars involved in sideshows are seized for 30 days. This newly approved ordinance in Alameda County takes effect August 9th. Amanda.
Let's take a look at our other top stories now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was outraged after NATO did not give a timeline for when his country could join the alliance. This comes ahead of the Eastern European leaders meeting with President Biden. NATO said Ukraine's future is indeed in NATO, but the country must first make democratic and security sector reforms. Zelensky said in a statement that it was absurd to place these vague new conditions on Ukraine without setting a timetable for membership. Well, the White House announced a new plan for more testing and research into xylazine. That's the animal sedative, commonly referred to as Trink. However, right now, they are stopping short of recommending new restrictions. The CDC found that xylazine was involved in almost 11% of drug overdose deaths in June of last year. That is up from nearly just 3% in January of 2019. The Biden administration will explore making xylazine a scheduled drug. Several states have already restricted it. Countless Hollywood actors could soon be playing the same role as striking workers. Now the SAG-AFTRA union is set to hit the picket lines as early as tomorrow. Actors, they want an increase in basic pay, more for health and pension plans, and more residuals from streaming content. So if you're thinking, hey, aren't actors already rich? Industry experts say not quite so.
For every Tom Hanks, for every George Clooney, Jennifer Lawrence, there are thousands of actors who are working and middle class and are trying to survive in cities like Los Angeles and New York in particular on wages that are not enormous, and it's a salary pyramid.
So a federal mediator has been called in to help, but the deadline to reach a deal is less than 24 hours away. Remember, the Hollywood writers are also out on strike, so a prolonged dispute could first sink the fall TV season and then later movies.